This is Mitch, and welcome to the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I have Kosta Apostolou, and we're going to be talking about automation, deal crunching, systemization, finding motivated sellers. Remember, we're going to kind of cover the gamut here, but we got a method to our madness. Right now, though, I need to pay homage to our sponsor. Please go to taxfreefuture.com. We got over 37 videos over there on how to grow your retirement or your financials. Tax deferred or tax free. Please go to taxfreefuture.com because you will not believe what your financial advisors are not telling you, and we're going to tell you. All right, Kosta, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Mitch. How are you doing?
Good. Where are you located at?
I'm just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
All right, Canada. So they're doing some house buying and selling in Canada as well, huh?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit crazy up here. You can buy some lovely shoebox condos for $500,000, and apparently these are good investments when you can rent them out for $2,000, which is why I invest in the U.S.
Okay, so that's important. You've set up shop. Any particular cities you want to mention, or states at least?
Well, so far I've when I started investing, which was about around 2010ish, I started down in the Fort Lauderdale area in Florida. Us Canadians seem to love Florida.
Yeah.
And then from there, I've moved up to Jacksonville. I have a property there and another one just north of just north in Georgia, about 40 minutes from Jacksonville.
So Jacksonville, Florida, and then you moved into Georgia?
Yeah. Well, we've got two of them right now. I work with a partner right there right now, and so we've got two of them about 40 minutes apart.
Yeah. I do the owner financing strategy, and it's pretty tough in Florida because of their foreclosure laws are not very pro-owner or pro-mortgage holder. So, but on the other hand, Georgia mirrors Texas, and Texas and Georgia have one of the fastest foreclosure processes on the planet. Probably about 40-something days if you got everything exactly right from the beginning and your timing was perfect. Usually it's about 60 to 90 days at the most, just depending. Of course, anyone can file bankruptcy or take it to court, but that happens very, very, not very often. Texas and Georgia are not super litigious states,
Right.
So anyways, tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you got to where you're at right now. So give us a little background in a nutshell, the bullet points, and then we'll get on with helping some of these investors find some motivated sellers.
All right. Well, I mean, as far as real estate and me goes, is like I said, it was back around 2010. I kind of fell upon it a little bit of dumb luck and a little bit of accident, but a little bit of law of attraction, I guess, as well, because I was always looking for some passive income type of ways to make some money. All right. And I was on a vacation at a time at one of these destination weddings, and I met someone there, and he was also from Canada. And he told me he bought this property in Florida for $30,000 or $40,000, and I just couldn't believe this, right? So this was like obviously right after the crash, and here we are talking about $500,000 condos in Toronto, and I just couldn't believe that you could buy a property for so cheap. And so next thing you know, I'm on a plane, I'm going down to Florida, and I want to pick up one of these things for myself, and that's what I did. So I bought the 1,000 square foot condo in Pompano Beach, and for $40,000 myself, and then rented it out for $950. And I thought, this is great. And I mean, my family and everyone thought like I was completely crazy. I mean, they'd tell me, we do have houses here in Canada, and I'd sarcastically tell them, I was like, well, why didn't anybody tell me? My igloo's been melting for the past week, right?
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, so one thing led to another, and then you get the itch, and I started buying a couple more properties from there, and to the point where they really thought I lost my mind, because then I started refinancing my condo that I lived in, and then I was buying these things up, and I was figuring, well, why not have somebody else, basically paying my rent back home with all the positive cash flow that I was getting from these properties there. And so, I mean, again, being from Canada and investing, in another country, especially, down in Florida, is it's at least a 24-hour drive if you go straight. So I needed a way to start finding these deals. And that's what, I ended up at a real estate investing seminar, and it was from a guy who was teaching Canadians on how to invest in the US. And so he gave a system on, this is basically how you do it. But the problem with that system was you had to do this same repetitive task over and over and over again. And I know myself is that I don't care how easy it is. I mean, I'll last about 10 minutes before I just die of boredom doing it. Doesn't matter how much money is on the end of the hook, right? So before I got into real estate investing, I was a software developer. So I thought, there's no rocket science here. It's just a simple little algorithm that's going through and figuring out all these properties, like what's good and what's not. So I ended up building that little thing that would go out and look for these properties and analyze them for me and bring them back. And then eventually shared it with some of my other friends who were my new real estate investor friends who were doing it. They thought it was pretty cool. And then, one thing led to another, and here I am 7-8 years later, and it just keeps getting better and better as we keep working on it.
So it's funny how these inventions come out of necessity, right? You needed a way to do it. I do want to, I don't know, talk or bring up or mention something. I have like 6 or 7 students right now that I'm helping buy real estate, not in their state. Like they live in one state and they're set up shop someplace else where it's more favorable. A lot of them come from Los Angeles, one from Florida, one from New Jersey, one from still California, San Francisco, but Los Angeles and San Francisco. So, and one from Nevada, places where their immediate surroundings just the prices are too high or the laws are not favorable.
Right.
But one thing that does, and I want to take my hat off, commend you, is by going to do business in another city, you actually have to learn how to run a real business, right? So you can't work in the business because you're not there in the physical location where the houses are. So you can only work on your systems and work on from the top down, which in the end, it's more challenging, right? But in the end of the day, you achieve what everyone should be getting into a business for, which is to have freedom and time, and income. And it's a lot, when you accept that challenge of dealing out of state or from far away, when you actually win that challenge, you've created a real business, a business that's more what everyone thinks they're doing when they start businesses. But a lot of people create jobs for themselves.
That's right.
So I always have to ask yourself, do I have a job or do I have a portfolio? Right. Always be asking.
Yeah, and I've found the same thing. I mean, like when I'm working on BirdDogBot, my product, I'm always in it. I'm in there writing code and doing things that I love to do just because I'm a geek like that, and I enjoy it, and I end up in there. But when I look at my real estate side of things, I have my partner who's down there, and he knows that I can't go somewhere to even change the light bulb. Obviously, I mean, how many thousands of miles away, right?
And thank goodness you can't, because you don't get paid to change light bulbs.
That's right. So, I mean, I'm lucky in that I've got someone on his side here. He's like a lot more knowledgeable with like the maintenance and all that of a property. I mean, myself, I don't even know how to hang a picture on a wall, never mind, deciding if this roofing quote is legit or not. So on my side, I always just work on the business side of our business, the systems and that kind of thing. And I've found that, the beauty of it is I just stay out of the way and things just magically happen, right? So
yeah. So how did you go down there to find a partner, or did you have someone down there you knew, or how did the partnership happen?
Well, this is a great story.
Having a partner can be really key, because if you have the right partner and you're both equally invested in the challenge and the outcome, it can be a lot different than a hired
So
gun,
the way I met my partner, again, just a bit of dumb luck and just in the right place at the right time, was I was looking at acquiring this duplex, and there was a sign there for sale, and I was looking at the property with the realtor. So we called, and he said, well, I'm actually at the property right now, if you want to come by and take a look at it. So we thought, well, we're just around the corner. Let's go and take a look. Next thing you know, I start talking with this guy, and I negotiate, he was going to hold the mortgage on that property. And then you think that was it. But, you know, we kept in touch after throughout while I still had that property. And, you know, one day I called him up and I said, hey, you know, do you want to do a deal together? And he's like, well, what are you proposing? And I said, I'll bring the money. You do the work. We split the profit. He said, yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good to me. And that was, you know, 7 or 8 years later. And the more we talked and got to know each other, we both had the exact same goals. We both thought the same. We brought different skill sets to the table. And honest to God, it's like a partnership. Like I couldn't have handpicked a better partner. The way we work together, and like we trust each other, do all that stuff is.
Okay, so what was your role and what was his role again?
I was the money guy. He was the sweat guy.
Okay, so you ended up being the money guy and the lead generating guy, and he was.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I didn't do much lead generation myself, but we both, you know, whatever properties we looked at, whatever we found, that was.
So may I ask your split? 50-50, 60-40, what is it?
50-50. So I've always paid for the property or the down payment, whatever it is we've had to do. And he's always put all the work into it in terms of like getting the contractors, doing what he asks. Sometimes he goes in and he fixes something himself, whatever it may be. But I mean, the partnership works great because like you said, I mean, I'm too far away to do that kind of stuff. And not to mention, I don't want to do that kind of stuff. And he's good at it. And so it's a perfect relationship, right?
So is this the kind of deal, I mean, were you able to find private money? You have bank relations, or are you just independently wealthy and fund these things? Or did you have without getting too personal, you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to, but I mean, how old are you, may I ask?
Next week, I'll be 42.
Okay. So you started this, how long, when did you find your partner?
So I started investing in 2010. It was probably around 2011-ish.
So you're in your 30s.
Would have been in my 30s, yeah.
How are you funding your deals, may I ask?
I had some money saved up. Like I said, I had my condo. I used to work in the corporate world, right? And it was a fairly well-paying gig back then. So by the time I was 30, I had my property paid off. So I used that, you know, took out a line of credit on that property and slowly accumulated some.
I didn't want to get too personal, but it's really important to hear how different people started.
And then, I mean, like as I kind of started taking some coaching and learning, because I'm the type of guy who, like, if I really like analyze something, I'll analyze it to death and then I'll never do anything. So I've found with myself, which is not advice I'd give to anybody because it's pretty crazy, is I just jump in the deep end and learn how to swim out, right? So once I said, okay, I want to do this, I started getting some coaching, and that's where I learned about, hey, you know, you could negotiate, you know, owner financed property. And that's how
purchase or a subject to, or a lot of different ways to go without your own money, right?
Right. So, I mean, once I started getting some experience with that, that's obviously how I met my partner. So a lot of it is either just my own money that I've saved up, or, you know, a lot of times we'll negotiate with the seller and we try to get them to finance the property. Right. So, and I mean, the crappy thing on my side is because I'm Canadian, even though I have an impeccable credit rating, they won't lend me property. They won't lend me money, like a traditional bank anyway, won't lend me money to buy a property in the US because I'm not a US citizen. And then at the same time, a Canadian bank here won't lend me money to buy a property outside of Canada. So it's this catch-22 that it's a nut that we've been trying to crack, right? But so far, like I said, we've just been managed to get some seller financing. And
if it helps you, I mean, I'm not here to sell you anything, but I did a course on private money changes everything. I have 44 people that right now on the streets of San Antonio, where I live, San Antonio, Texas, I have out deployed probably anywhere between 13 and $15 million from private money. And I went through and showed how I did it. Now, I've talked to some other people, and there's different, you know, obviously there's a lot of ways to skin a cat always. You know, there's 100 ways to do it. But, you know, private money is like the super huge key. It's fast. It's usually a little more expensive, but it's affordable. And then after things get smoothed out and straightened out, they're not so hard to get longer term, more beneficial loans. Once everything's pretty and settled,
Right.
But if you're interested in that topic, I really have done well at raising private money over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely love to get more on that. Like I said, it's a nut we've been trying to crack, right?
It's called Private Money Changes Everything. It's at 1000houses.com. You can see it there if you choose to. I'll get Julie to send you over something. But
sorry, Mitch, I lost my audio there.
It's at one. You can see the name of the course is Private Money Changes Everything, and it's at 1000houses.com or 1000houses.com. And it's not real bulky. You know what I mean? It's not real heavy. It's not a thick thing. It's very rich. Everything it's like 7 steps. I usually don't ask people to loan me money. I usually find a way to get myself in a situation to present my case, and then they end up asking me if they can play, because it makes a lot of sense when I present the case. I use a lot of NLP, which is I can never say it.
Neuro-linguistic programming?
Yeah, I can never say it. I use it, but I can't say it. Like I get people to open the door to walk into the room of the conversation that I want to talk about. Instead of me taking them into the room, I get them through using certain key questions or sentences or statements to get them to walk me into the room so that we can have the conversation I want to have, but it be their idea.
Right.
Because as soon as you ask someone to have a conversation about, will you loan me private money? They get in a boxing stance. They get in a real defensive mode.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for a small example is like, if I wanted to get you to ask me, what I do for a living, I might pretend like you're a fireman, okay? And you role play with me. So Kosta.
Sorry, I'm having some audio issues. Say that again.
Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, let me know if we need to rehash something here. We can do some edits or whatever, because I don't miss some of this. But let's do a little role play, and I'll show you how I use NLP to kind of get you in the doors. This is just one of the ways, one of the instances, and there's several of them I'm using to get you all the way into this room to have the conversation I want to have, but be it your idea. So the first thing I want you to do is I want to tell you my elevator pitch and tell you what I do for a living, but I want you to ask me. So let's pretend like you're a fireman, okay?
Mitch, our audio is having some issues at the worst time here.
Well, okay. Shoot. Do you think you should call back in or something? We should.
Let's try it one more time. If not, we'll try calling back in.
Okay. So I was going to show you an instance like how I get you to get into the room I want to get into to have a conversation about what I want to talk about, but I want it to be your idea. So the first thing I need to do is I need you to ask me what I do for a living. Okay? And that's what I need you to do. And I'll show you how it kind of works. And then will you role play with me for a minute? Let's pretend you're a fireman. Okay? You're not an investor, you're a fireman.
Okay.
Hey, sir, I noticed, we're both sitting here in this lobby waiting for this doctor or whatever. You look like you're really in shape, man. May I ask what you do for a living?
Well, I'm a firefighter, Mitch.
Well, I almost did that. I came about this close to be a firefighter, but I chose a different path.
Oh, really? What do you do?
Well, see, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, I help average people achieve above average rates of return on their idle money, like their savings and stuff. And I give them, when I give them really valuable real estate as collateral. So like, there's no way they can really lose. Anyways, that's why I help people quit gambling in the stock market and quit making 1%. I give them, 6, 8, 10% options to figure, choices. But it's always backed by real estate. The real estate's always worth a lot more,
Right. So how does that work exactly?
You see what I'm saying, though? I achieved my goal in the first step. I got you to open the door to even see if you were interested in what I was talking about, or what I offer, what I want to sell. And so like, there's like these 7 little steps, and like 8 out of 10 times I can get right in the room. And 8 out of 10 times I don't have to ask, do you want to play? They'll ask me. And it's just kind of a neat lesson in psychology and
Yeah,
in achieving what you want. So
absolutely. It's always a better idea when it's my idea, right? That's the way people
that's
generally
what you're trying to do. You're trying to get them to the conclusion like, hey, I should do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no shit, you should. I haven't failed in 24 years. And, even if I did, you'd get all my houses and you'd be a long way from broke. Enron couldn't happen to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you went out of town. Sorry about that little sidestep, but I really want to help you solve that issue if I could. And,
yeah,
and
for sure.
you're not the only one with that issue. I think every investor in the world has got that big question, like, well, how am I going to fund as many as I want?
Mm-hmm.
So you go down there, you find this great partner. I want to ask a question though, and I got an answer. I figure that you probably didn't do what I'm asking, but I'm asking for a reason. Did you guys pull credit reports on each other or background checks on each other before you teamed up and went in all together?
No.
I didn't think so. But wouldn't it be kind of good advice for people out there? I mean, you did well, you read people well, you had a good feel for the guy, it worked out fine. But I really suggest that before someone forms a corporation to go in with people or they do something on a grander scale, maybe one house, one off, you can settle up on the house and get out and not have to be partners for life. And maybe that's how you learn about someone. But I learned kind of early on, because I'm a great partner picker. Like most of my partners have been with me over a decade. Some of them close to, well, he just passed, one of them passed away, but he's close to 2 decades. So I'm a really good partner guy. But I see so many people get into the partnerships with bad people. Because I talk to a lot of people in my life, and I have a lot of students and a lot of remittance. And I think overall, it shouldn't be a stretch to say, look, I'm willing for you to do a background check on me. I think, though, that we should both do a background check so we don't have to wake at night and wonder, like, what's in the closet somewhere. Would you mind, me doing a background check, and I'll give you the information. You can run a background check on me just to get all that out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the way I went about it, because I had the same concerns from other people as well. The first property that we bought together was a $19,000 house in Miami.
Yes, I wasn't going to kill you.
Yeah, I wasn't going to get hurt too badly with this, right? And so I figured, okay, 19,000 plus we put like about 20,000 of repairs in. I was like, really, what's the worst that can happen versus what's the best that can happen? You factor all that in, and if I find in working with them during this one project, well, I can cut my ties and go, right? So I had my own corporation, he had his, and then we created an LLC, which was a 50-50 partnership of our two companies. And we said, well, you know what, if this works out, we'll keep doing more. If it doesn't work out, well, shake hands, we're still friends, and be on our way. And throughout that time, there's always been these little, I guess they're kind of like these little tests. So one time, I'll give you an example, because he's an active investor himself, and he told me, he said, I've got a bit of an issue. I'm closing on one house, and I've got another house closing a few days later, and I'm $5,000 short, but I need that $5,000. And is there any way that I could borrow $5,000 from our joint account, and I'll put it back in 5 days later? So I thought to myself, wow, this is actually a really good test here, because
no, absolutely, I'd have taken that. If you're a con man or a bad guy, I want to just pay the $5,000 and learn. That's your attitude. And for $5,000, I need to figure out who this guy is.
Yeah, it's a great lesson for $5,000, right? And in fact, it's not even $5,000, because half of that money is technically his anyway. So it's only I'm getting a 50% discount on that.
Perfect, man. So I want to confess, and it'll be all transparent. Mm-hmm. I never pulled background reports or checks on all my partners either. But I see so many people that want to jump up to the money man so fast because they don't have the money and they want to do deals, and they're not doing enough due diligence, or their picker's broken. I have a really good picker. My picker's great. My picker's right on the money.
Right.
You want to have a little Southern slang there from Texas. Some people's picker's broken and mine's not. But it still would have been a good idea And anyone who doesn't want you to do a background check or give you their social and date of birth and their driver's license number,
Red flag.
right off the bat, there's like a red flag. It's like,
Yeah.
why? I'm going to give you mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It also might be good though if you're going to be giving out your social, whatever. I have LifeLock or identity theft insurance for a couple $1,000,000 just because A, I can, and B, I think in this world you really need it, and C, I could probably be a nice target for someone if they ever found out enough about me and my positions. So one thing, I never really worried about that. And it also helps when you're raising private money. If you have like LifeLock or some identity theft thing, you can give them your social to put them at ease. Like, you know, I one time got private money from one of the richest guys in San Antonio in like 15 minutes. I walked in, they said I had 15 minutes to talk to him. I gave him my financials. I gave him my 2 years tax returns. I gave him a copy of my driver's license. I gave him a copy of my social, and I had two $100 bills on top, all rubber band together in a stack, and I handed it to him. He talked to me for 10 minutes. He says, "What's the 150 for?" I said, "It's so you can hire a private detective. There's my social, there's my driver's license, there's my date of birth, and we can figure out who I am in about 24 hours and who I've been my whole life." And he said, he pushed the $200 back and says, "I will not need to do one now." What? He proceeded to loan me $1,000,000, you know, but a lot to be said for that. I don't know. I really didn't plan to talk about this stuff on this particular call, but I think sometimes these conversations go the way they need to go. And I haven't ever talked about this before on any podcast.
Right.
So it's original. So the other way to do it is like you did it. You just do one tiny deal with a guy and you see how it works. I also suggest that you do that with new rehab. Don't give them the whole job. In the first phase of the job, you need to clean up the yard and haul off all the trash and you know, do that. And if he does that good and on time and doesn't make excuses, or, you know, then pay him for that and then have him scrape, you know, what's the next? We got to scrape the outside of the house and paint it all. Will you do that too? Okay, well then do that. And you kind of take them in small bites so that you learn, if they're not any good for you, you learn on small issue problems. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah, it's just small tests along the way, and you kind of keep pushing their limits and what you're comfortable with, and eventually you know that either A, I can trust this guy, or B, I can't, right?
Yeah, yeah. You know, I've always said, and I still to this day, I deal with some people that I never want to be in business with or be associated with in the public or anything, but I still buy deals from a lot of these people that I wouldn't be in business with if my life depended on it, because I don't trust them. But I had this little saying, you know, you can deal with a snake, you just can't stand in front of the head. If you're dealing with a snake, you've always got to position yourself where they can't get to you.
Right.
You position yourself such that if they do what they do, they get what you promised. If they don't, they can't get to you, and you don't have to deliver the funds. You know what I mean? So try to always set it up like that. So let's talk about, are you the founder or inventor of BirdDogBot?
I am. That, like I said, came out of a personal necessity of mine to find my own deals, and because I live out of country, never mind out of city or out of state, I needed a way to do this, and so I, cracked open.
Explain what BirdDogBot does.
So basically, what it does, what it's evolved to now, anyway, is you can go in and you decide that you want to look for properties in, let's say, San Antonio, right? So you say, okay, I want to look in San Antonio, Texas for 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes from $50,000 to $200,000. I mean, I don't know if that's a valid price range in San Antonio. I'm just making it up. But anyway, so you say that's what I'm looking for. And then you say, what type of property you're looking for? So maybe it's a single family home, a condo, or a townhouse. And, I'm looking at properties that are for sale, foreclosures, or like different types of a listing status, if you will. And then you tell it, these are the numbers and these are how the numbers are that I want it to work. And then that's all you do. And then the way the system has evolved now is it will constantly be going out to various different websites and pulling all the different properties that it has for sale that match, San Antonio 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes in that price range. And then it runs all the calculations for you. And then it'll say, okay, I looked up whatever, 150, 200 properties, however many there are. And here are the 4 that match that criteria. And so from that, you can then say, okay, well, I didn't have to look at the other 198 of them or however many there were. And I can just spend my time looking at these four, because at least at these four, I know that the precursory numbers work right now. So you can then look at the property, run an actual, get a proper estimate for what the property would be worth, and do all your due diligence that you would need to do. But the whole point is you didn't waste your time with the other 198 of them. And hopefully of those four, or whichever ones come along, one of them is one of a property that you can act on. Not only that, it does this like constantly all the time, right? So you could imagine if there were 200 properties for sale and I want to look at them all, it's going to take me a long time. Well, guess what? Tomorrow that list might be different. There might be something new, or there might be something removed, right? So what it also does, it will also keep an eye on all these properties to see, okay, this property, hey, the price got reduced by this one at $10,000 or by $10,000. So it wasn't a deal at 200, but at 190, it's now worth looking at, let's say, right? Again, I'm just making up numbers off the top of my head. So, and it tells you everything that changed about a property, all the new ones that came for sale. And to do this like manually would be just absolutely ridiculous. There's no way you could do it, or have like you could have a virtual assistant do it, but why deal with it when it's just a simple thing that a computer can do?
Brain power, right? So you found a way to audit. So you're a geek.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Full-fledged.
Full-fledged geek.
That's right.
You don't look like a geek, Kosta. You really had me fooled there.
I know, but
black rim glasses with the tape in the middle.
Yeah, I kind of took them off right now. No, it's just one of those things I love doing. Just from a kid, right? And I always had like an entrepreneurial spirit about me. Like when I was a teen, I used to buy and sell computer parts, right? So yeah, back in the days when computers.
Like one of the most handsomest geeks I've ever met. You know, I mean, like.
Wow, thank you.
You know. All right, so you're giving away a free day trial on this, so people can go and kind of experience it themselves. We're gonna let people experience that 7-day. I said free day. 7-day free trial for actually, it's not free. It's $7.
That's right.
So
yeah.
For $7, you can get a 7-day trial with this thing. Go to reinvestorsummit.com, reinvestorsummit.com/BirdDog, all one word, of course, BirdDog. And check it out there. There'll be a link to get your $7 7-day free trial. Also, you're giving away a kind of a property deal cruncher, right? So it's like a spreadsheet where you put in the knowns and it kind of helps you analyze it's validity of a property.
Yeah, it's something that I used initially when I was before I had BirdDogBot completely written. It was just a simple spreadsheet where I type in this is what the property is for sale. This is the estimated value of the property. These are some expenses and stuff that I want to factor in. And then it just has a big box at the bottom. It says deal or no deal, right? So it's pretty simple. So, and that's what I used before I had, BirdDogBot out there doing all the work myself. So you can take your property, plug in the numbers one at a time and go do it, right? But again, the real value is the BirdDogBot, which will just do it all automatically for you.
It will, but either way, they're both of the things are going to be over there. So if you want to take a property deal cruncher, again, go to reinvestorsummit.com and /BirdDog and check it out. So if you're a geek, then you've probably automated all kinds of things. Is there more automation that you've done personally in your own life, or finding houses out in Florida or Georgia? Is there other automation that you've done? I'm always into automation.
I try to like automate like anything I possibly can in my life. Like even there's so many things like even in my BirdDogBot business that nobody knows about, nobody sees, nobody appreciates except for me, because it's just all automated. So many background tasks that I would probably have to hire a virtual assistant for. But I'm the type of guy who I'll spend 5 hours or a day to automate a task that takes me 5 minutes a day to do, because I know that I'm not going to do that task every single day for those 5 minutes. I have so many of them that, again, it's all technical geek stuff that nobody's really going to appreciate except for myself. But even like as far as like on the business side goes, like I mentioned, my partner and I, we have a mobile home park in Jacksonville, and we're always, we're both always trying to automate as much of it as we can. And one issue we had was collecting rents from the tenants, which can be a real pain in the butt. Oh, I don't have the money today. come back tomorrow, that kind of thing. And so we had our property manager used to go and, knock on the door and say, give me the rent, basically. So we found a system where now our rule at the mobile home park is we don't take cash. We've given them a card, and they can go into Walmart or wherever, and they just pay their rent on this card, right? And so now we don't even have to collect the rent anymore. All we do is we log into the system, and it shows us, hey, this rent came in from this person here, and if not, then now we have our property manager. The only thing he does is he hunts them down if they haven't paid the rent, right? But for the most part, it's one of those things that's just been automated.
Hey, so we have that in San Antonio here. We collect about 300 payments a month at least, and then another. I have a storage business, self-storage business, where I have 1,600 doors, and average about $100 a month on that business. But we've got in the house business, we have a company called Paylease. That's
exactly the one that we use.
Okay, Paylease. And the reason how we got to that, the reason why Kosta got to this, I'm sure, is like how many people is in that mobile home park?
The one in Jacksonville is 29 units.
Okay, every time these people walk in to make their payment, stops the whole friggin' office. They gotta not just to write the receipt and to take the money, and then you gotta figure out what to do with the cash. I mean, you gotta drive it to someplace to make a deposit. So this was a super energy suck, because it would be a big enough energy suck if they just brought the cash and you just wrote a receipt and they left. But they don't just do that. They want to tell you about all their crap. They want to tell you what's wrong with the house, or what's wrong with the neighbor, or what's wrong with their car, or the dog they took the vet to. And they just shut the damn office down 29 times a month, at least, in his storage business. You know what I mean? So that's how we went to this. It's called Paylease. It doesn't even cost us like $40 or $20 or $30 a month. It costs the people $2 or $3, I think, a transaction or whatever, but that's their problem. But we put on our door now, we don't take payments at this office. There is no payments at this office. There's 300 places in town you can make a payment, but this isn't one of them.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly been our approach. And anyone who says, well, I don't really want to participate with that in that system, is like, okay, so are you giving us your notice that you're leaving? Because that's how you pay your rent here. And if they want to leave, they leave. We're okay with that, right? We're just move on and do what we got to do. But we're not going to cater to one person because they insist on paying by cash or whatever it is. And I almost find it's a good way to even filter out some tenants as well, because if they're going to ask you for exceptions on how they're going to pay the rent, imagine what else they're going to ask for.
Well, yeah, they're going to ask for exceptions on everything.
Absolutely.
That's great, man. I was going headed someplace else too with this. Well, it'll come to me in a minute. So automating as much as you can. We started a loan. I say we. My daughter started a loan servicing business that I promote. It's called Note Servicing. Mostly does Texas and Alabama, although we're trying to maybe open up in Georgia. You have to be registered or licensed in every state. So, but we actually have a $16,000 software program, and then paid $4,000 to get our people trained on it, so that we could become very expedient and not only people being able to collect our payments, but also collect payments for other people. And they have portals they can see in real time if the payments have been made or not. And also all the year-end reporting for every unit or every house, you know what I mean? So collections is a big thing. You train people how to pay or you don't. And if you don't train them how to pay, then they'll never learn, because most of them are, at least 50% of them are children, and you have to teach them how they pay, and make sure you charge them their late fees and cause some pain if they don't ever forgive those, because without the pain, they'll just keep doing the same thing over and over again. So,
and when we first acquired that property, I mean, we found out the old owner was an elderly guy just selling the property. He was 80 some odd years old. And so when we were working with him, just learning the business, we found, oh man, all these rents are coming in late all the time. You got people paying on the 23rd of the month when the rent is due on the 1st, right? Like how do you do stuff like that? So we said, you know what, we're going to implement this late fee thing. So we did that in month one. And next thing you know, we've got an additional, $600 to $1,000 a month in late fees that we're collecting because people are paying late. So we thought, well, this is great. We just increased our cash flow by $1,000 a month, right? It's still a bit of a pain in the butt, but eventually it gets to a point where they're just chronically late, like all the time. And I mean, you wonder why some people like end up in like financial problems. Is it's not that hard, right? Your rent is due on the 1st, save your money and pay it on that day. What difference does it make if you pay it on the 12th, right?
Yeah. So also I have a software company called Livecom that I partnered with the two geeks to build for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I use it with all the love in my heart. I use that word. It's called Livecom, LIVECOMM.com, as in live communication. You might want to check it out. Check out how I've got my days on market, my houses down to 9 days, and my average down payment up to 12%.
Okay.
When I decide to owner finance. But you could also use Livecom for a lot of different things. And one is you can pre-schedule text message to go out, and it costs 2 cents per person. So times 29 people is not even worth adding up.
Yeah.
But you could have rent reminders going out to their text messages 2 to 3 days before.
Mm-hmm.
Now that might cut down on the amount of money you collect for late fees. But what could be better is you could take everyone that's late and send them their late notices via text. You know what I mean? And everyone sees their text these days, and more than they see their emails, more, Now you have an on-site manager, so it's not that big a deal for them to walk over there. But it's just another idea on how to touch that person to try to resolve an issue, which.
Yeah, I mean, like now, fortunately, like the last couple months, because we went through a bit of a purge, if you will, of some people.
Yeah, of course.
Chronically late and stuff like that. Because I mean, yeah, the $50 late fee is great on the income statement there, but at the end of the day, you don't want to be constantly chasing people for rent, right? So we cleaned that up, and the last couple of months has been, with a bit of a refresh tenant base. We haven't really had that issue so much anymore, but we still do have the rule, and we don't make an exception for it. If someone's late, you're late. Like, is today the 6th? Yeah, you owe us $50 on top of what you owe, right? So
yeah. I love it. So I want you guys to go to reinvestorsummit.com/birddog. Check out the 7-day trial for $7 and check it out. Maybe, if that 7-day trial results in finding you a motivated seller in your area, this thing is really affordable. I didn't want to talk about price just because these podcasts are evergreen, and you could be listening to this thing, a year from when it was made. It'd still be relevant, and I didn't want to throw the numbers out there, but it's very affordable, and you have a couple of different choices. And even at the most expensive choice, you find one house in a year, and it's stupid money, that this thing costs. It's ridiculously low. So I want you to check it out, reinvestorsummit.com/birddog. By the way, Kosta, that show notes area where we're sending people is evergreen. If you ever want to post anything else in there or anything free, or you're speaking somewhere or whatever, you can always put the dates in there. We'll be happy to update your show notes anytime you want.
perfect.
And you can put the prices in there if you want, because you can always update them if you change them, or they can just come to your site and do it. So whatever you want to do, I just want to let you know. And you can also get a copy of the free little automated spreadsheet property deal cruncher as a nice little token gift there for you. Anything you'd like to say to the newbies out there before maybe we wrap it up today?
I think the only thing I can think of is one thing I've learned, whether it's in business or real estate or whatever it is something my real estate investing coach taught me is to stop asking yourself like yes or no questions. Like, can I do this? Is this a deal? Like questions like that are just asking for either yes or no. He taught me to just reposition my mind to basically say, well, how can I do this? Right. So this property, it doesn't appear to be a deal. Well, how could I make it a deal? Right. And then what that does, it gets the creative juices flowing in your brain to make things happen. Like even when it comes down to, like, if I'm talking about the BirdDogBot, when I first started, I never would have thought that somebody could log in and put in their information, and that's it. They never have to log in again. And every day it just will email you deals. I never even thought of something like that being possible. But as I kind of build it, I would always ask myself, well, how can I make this better? How can I take another step out of the equation? Or if it's as far as like investing in properties goes, well, how can I make this deal happen, right? Whether it's, do I lower the price, maybe negotiate different terms, if they're doing a seller financing thing, right? So the key is always ask yourself a question that begins with how, and then again, your mind will just.
Yeah. How do I make this deal work? How do I make this software work? How do I make this office run smoother? How do I, instead of, is there a way? Is this good, bad, yes or no? Because you say no, you're done.
Exactly.
You say how, you could never be done.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a double-edged sword if you look at it like that, right? But for the most part, it's good. And not only that, you'll learn to like do all kinds of different things in the process, right? So,
hey, so Kosta, would you do me a favor? Because you're like an innovative guy, and you're into automation and stuff. Would you please go to livecom.com, livecomm.com, watch the video on the homepage, and see if it could be of use to you, and look at the features that it has. I don't want to go all through them today, but you got pre-scheduling features, call connect, recordings, voice drops coming soon. It's mass texting, but we relegated how many you could text per day per phone number so that we're under the algorithm for getting blacklisted. I think it's 250 a day. We only send out 200 per phone number. Phone numbers cost like $2 and a month. They're not pretty numbers. You can choose area codes. And every phone number has a text distribution list attached to it. And if someone calls from a cell phone, it puts their cell phone number in this text distribution list. But to give you an idea of one of the reasons why I'm so effective selling houses is I do have a pre-scheduled message that goes out on the 1st that says, if you no longer want to be on this list, this is how you get off. Mm-hmm. Despite that going out the 1st of every month, I have 9,995, almost 10,000 people in San Antonio, Texas, who want to get the URL to the short link next time I have a new owner financed home come available, because they're still looking and they haven't found the home they want, and they've been appraised that they need at least 10% down, and they still want to hear. So for 2 cents a person, I can hit my market right between the eyes, because these are people that have already called my owner finance signs. So I already know they're interested. I also know they're interested doubly because they haven't opted out. So I got 10,000. That's the reason why I'm averaging 12% down when I'm only asking 10, and I'm 9 days on the market average on the last 300 deals. This is a large part to it. We tie it to a couple of other things like Facebook marketing and a couple of other things, but LiveCom's really instrumental in keeping us right in front of our target area, and only got to spend 2 cents per person to hit them right between the eyes. And it's a super value. So would you look at it for me maybe? And see?
I will definitely look at it.
It has its own API. It has its own API. I'm just repeating monkey words now. I don't know what they need. It has its own API. We can hook it to anything. We can white label it. We can do all kinds of things. So.
Okay, well, all those monkey words made sense to me. So, my partner and I, we talk once a week discussing our properties, what we're doing, and all that kind of thing. And I'm gonna add that to the list for us to take a look at, see if it's something we can integrate.
Yeah, I think you really jump started just to watch the video on the home screen, because I kind of go through how I use it and what I do, and you'll catch on really fast. Anyways, I'm just saying you may be taking it places that I haven't even thought of, because it can work for a lot of different businesses and a lot of different things. And it might. I'm kind of interested if it will tie into BirdDogBot somehow.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at it and let the imagination run wild on that and see what we can do with it.
All right, my friends. This is Kosta Apostolou. I had it right, now I don't. Apostolou. Kosta Apostolou.
I think you got it right that time, yeah.
Okay. Kosta Apostolou. And we're here with the RE Investor Summit. We've been, I don't know, kind of letting this conversation go where it goes, but I think we got some good stuff in here. Some stuff I don't think I've ever talked about before, and I've done over 300 podcasts, so this is cool. I want you to go to reinvestorsummit.com/birddog to get your property deal cruncher, or to take advantage of the 7-day, $7 offer to try out BirdDogBot. Until then, man, this is Mitch Stephen. I want to say thanks to my my sponsor, taxfreefuture.com. Please go there, taxfreefuture.com, and watch the 37 videos on how to grow, magnify your savings or your retirement plans by using tax-deferred or tax-free vehicles, accounts. Please go to taxfreefuture.com because you will not believe what your financial advisor is not telling you. All right, my friend, Mr. Apostolou, thank you very much. I will see you soon.
All right, Mitch, thanks for having me.
Bye.